What's up, kids? Welcome back to the Dave Cave Dave here, and today I'm having a look at the DC Multiverse McFarlane Platinum Edition figures by McFarlane Toys. We got the Question over here and the Shining Knight over here. Two lesser-known DC characters that you might not know much about. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to crack these guys open. We're going to see what's what inside of the packs there, and then we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive into their history. I'll give you some recommended reading so that if you're interested in these characters, you can head on out and buy yourself some graphic novels and do a bit of reading, man, and check out some really interesting characters that have some really awesome ties and links into DC's history in some weird and wacky ways. So yeah, two pretty amazing characters here that I'm very excited to add to the collection. Now, before we crack into all that, guys, I'm going to ask you to give the video a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hopefully you caught my last review where I debuted some of my hip-hop beats, man. I'm going to be playing some of those beats under this video today. So if you like the beats and if you like me, why don't you give me a like, man? And yeah, stay tuned, man, because I got plenty more in the pipeline. So before we crack into the figures, I have a very special announcement to make as well, announcing that I have an additional sponsor here on the channel, and that is Culture Shock Collectables here in Australia, guys. Culture Shock Collectables are one of the biggest and best purveyors of pop culture material, and I am very proud to be able to call them a sponsor of DAVEcaveDAVE Productions. If you head on over, man, they've got an incredible range of McFarlane, Hasbro, and they even do NECA, man. They are taking care of the Australian market, and their range is fantastic. So head on over, buy yourself something nice, and earn yourself some points that you might be able to trade in for a voucher for a future purchase, man. So thanks to Mike and the folks over at Culture Shock Collectables for sponsoring little old me. Very, very pleased that I get to plug for the likes of Culture Shock Collectables and Angel Grove Collectables as well. And I'll do you both proud. Now, with all that out the way, guys, let's get into the review, man. Let's do this. guys, I'm back. Now, as you saw in the montage there, these are two pretty bare bones releases, but are pretty nice representations of, as I said, a couple of very obscure characters. Well, the question not so obscure, but definitely the Shining Knight, I think, qualifies as an obscure DC character. Let's talk about the question first. Now, it's kind of difficult to mess this up. I mean, he's a very basic character. As long as you get the blue suit and the blank face there, then you pretty much nailed the question. Now, that said, I think they kind of did mess it up a bit by trying to do a bit too much there. And I think that ring around the eyes there of shade or shadow or whatever it is they're trying to do is just a bit too much for me. Like, if I have this guy up on the shelf, guys, that brim is going to cast some shadow over his face, so I didn't really need that freaking painted like that. So yeah, sadly, I think they kind of overdid it there. But I mean, it's not the worst there, but like, yeah, dude, it's the question. Like, he should have just had a freaking blank face. Like, it's kind of stupid that they did that, but it's fine. As I said, he's still gonna have shadow on his face from the brim of the hat anyway when he's on the shelf, so it's not that bad. But every time I have him in hand, I'm just going to think, like, why the hell didn't they just release a question figure with a blank face? Like, you had one job and you kind of, I don't know, you kind of blew your load a bit there, McFarlane. Yeah, bit overdone there. Now, I have no idea what this buck is. I think it might be unique, but I've been stung by saying that on this channel before, and then having to eat my words later. So I'm not sure if this is like a Joker of some type, maybe one of the three Jokers. I'm not sure. It does look a little thick. Maybe those Joker bucks are pretty thin, so I'm not exactly sure who this buck is. But yeah, look, the head and the hat there look pretty unique to me. It would have been nice if the hat was removable, but I mean, look, it's a pretty signature look of the character, along with his blank face. And so, I don't know, I guess, yeah, I'm not going to ping it for not having a removable hat. So, yeah, pretty good question there. Now, as for the Shining Knight, just an absolutely stunning figure right here, guys. Very simple. We just need the sword and the figure itself. And this looks to me like it's all new. We've got beautiful sculpting from head to toe, guys. That helmet is just perfect, and they've even gone so far as to apply some small black paint apps there on the side there, down the arms there. We've just got extra little touches that usual McFarlane releases do not get. That gem is painted there on the sword. The hilt is painted. We've got the pommel there, and the whatever the guard is there, the cross guard there, painted as well in gold. So yeah, we've got 4 different colors on the sword itself, which is really nice. We've got the plastic cape, which is hemmed in gold paint, which is just really nice touch. And we've got the chainmail texture all over the legs and the arms. So yeah, just a really, really beautifully sculpted figure. And at this point from McFarlane Toys, with the amount of reuse that we do get, it is kind of jaw-dropping that we do get this level of detail on a character this obscure. So I'm just counting my lucky stars with this release. Absolutely stoked with Ystein here, the Shining Knight. Alrighty, first up is the questions recommended reading section, and I have to recommend the Question Omnibus here by Denny O'Neil and Dennis Cowan there, guys. Absolute legends in the industry, and yeah, legendary book there as well. The character himself, the Question, was purchased by DC from the Charlton comic characters, and along with the Question came Peacemaker, Blue Beetle, Captain Atom, and a couple of others there. So yeah, really interesting bunch of characters that came over from Charlton Comics, and the Question was one of them. And I think he kind of lay dormant for a while until Denny O'Neil picked him up. The legend Denny O'Neil picked him up with this book, The Question, in the 80s, and it is just a stellar book, man. The character himself, Vic Sage, was an investigative journalist that developed a healthy mistrust of the media and of authority in this book. And yeah, he's kind of portrayed as like a paranoid character that, yeah, really distrusts the government and goes out in search of conspiracy theories and whatnot. Yeah, especially in his representation in the Justice League Unlimited animated series. And I haven't quite read all of the omnibus here. And yeah, you know, at the stuff that I've read, it's kind of street level, trying to clear up crime in his city. And it is fantastic stuff. So I can definitely recommend The Question by Danny O'Neill and Dennis Cowan. On to the next one for The Question. Now, this might be a weird one for you, but I'm going to recommend Watchmen by Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons. Now, if you're a comic book fan by any stretch of the imagination and you haven't read Watchmen, I mean, like, what the hell are you even doing here? Watching a review of The Question action figure? Like, get out there and read Watchmen. Now, when Alan Moore originally put his ideas together down on paper for Watchmen, he intended to use the Charlton Comics characters. DC said no, and so he had to create all new characters, and so The Question became Rorschach. And so Watchmen is pretty much a question story at its heart there, but you know, I guess the broader strokes there have been changed. So yeah, these are two characters that are definitely related to each other. So if you do find yourself looking for an awesome story featuring The Question and you haven't read Watchmen, it's pretty much a question story. So give it a go, all three of you. Alrighty guys, on to my recommended reading for Shining Knight, and I cannot go past Seven Soldiers of Victory. I think mainly because it's the only place where you can actually read this version of Shining Knight. The original Shining Knight, going back to like Golden Age DC Comics, was Sir Justin, and I'm pretty sure he was one of the Seven Soldiers of Victory as well. And I think he was just a knight. He might have had a magical sword. It might have been Excalibur or something like that. Now, my details on this are foggy. Also, my details on Seven Soldiers of Victory is foggy as well. I've been meaning to reread this for years, but what I do know about Seven Soldiers of Victory is it is one of those Grant Morrison stories that starts wacky, is wacky all the way throughout, and manages to stick the landing. Old Mr. Morrison there, he can kind of go a bit too wacky at times and fail to stick the landing there with his endings, but I just remember Seven Soldiers of Victory being incredible from the beginning to the end, guys. It is essentially 7 different 4-issue miniseries about 7 different characters, and they unknowingly are working together to save the world, to save the universe. And yeah, they're kind of unaware of each other. They're unaware that they're helping each other. And I think it becomes apparent to them later on in the story. But yeah, these 7 random characters from different corners of the DC universe just find themselves, all kind of like mystic related characters, just find themselves all working towards the same goal. Yeah, incredible stuff from Grant Morrison, and definitely an essential read if you want to start digging into some of the more cerebral and interesting stories that DC has to offer. And there you have it, guys. That was my quick review of these 2 fantastic figures, really interesting DC characters. A nice little 1-2 platinum hit in quick succession. I think the Green Lantern enemy, the Effigy, was released at the same time, but I didn't add him to this release because I thought it'd be interesting to take a look at these 2 characters that have a slightly more rich history than good old Effigy there. So I thought I'd keep it nice and focused on these 2. I can definitely recommend you these figures, guys, especially if you have a remote interest in either of them. I mean, I think if you went out and picked up a copy of either Seven Soldiers of Victory or Denny O'Neill's The Question, and you like to own the figures of the stuff that you're reading, I think you'll definitely be inclined to track these guys down. They might be a little difficult to find these days because they are platinums, and it's been a couple of months since their release, but you know what, if you can get them, man, get them, man. They're awesome figures, and I'm bloody glad that I own them. So with all that said, guys, that's it from me. Once again, if I could remind you to hit the like button and subscribe if you liked what you just saw. Guys, there's plenty more in the pipeline from me in the future. Thanks once again to Culture Shock Collectables for sponsoring this video, sending these out to me, and for making me the happiest girl in the world. Time for me to sign out, guys. Take care of each other, and until the next video, guys, until the next live stream, until the next post on Instagram, take care of each other and buy more toys. See ya.